Hey, welcome back to another episode. I get so excited to do this with you guys every week. I love just being able to share my insights, the things that I'm seeing with clients, and ultimately help empower you all to go after these amazing contracts, doing these services, these programs, courses, all of the things that you guys offer. I enjoy seeing you go after the giants and really infusing their team members, their employees with the brilliance that you've developed. And this is apropos because we're going to be talking about three of the top services that I have seen corporations salivating over, paying premiums for, wanting more qualified individuals to come to the table with the skill set, the expertise, and also at the right price point. And so I wanted to come on today to really share with you what those are and also just get your brain turning in terms of how you can frame your expertise and what you offer to meet the need that some of these corporations have, again, where they can't find enough quality talent. And there aren't enough people that are willing to jump in the inbox and say, hey, here's what I do. I would love to chat with you more about this and see if there's an opportunity where I can serve you. So, in terms of blue ocean versus red ocean, these opportunities are very much so blue ocean. And you can start to put yourself out there and really start to get some traction if you start implementing not only the things that I share today, but also just throughout my channel. I had a chance to look back over all the content that I've created around this. And I have over 25 videos that go into different topics on how to break into this space. And so that content should be able to give you a nice framework to get started. And obviously, working with me and getting my support helps to accelerate that process even more. So, that is the introduction. If this is your first time here, my name is Kirsten Allen. I help experts get into the corporate space doing their speaking, their training, and even their coaching programs and providing them to organizations like for profit, but also nonprofits, as well as universities. So if you're like, yes, I have made a great, foundation in my business, and now I want to start landing larger opportunities, then you will love my corner of the internet because that's all we talk about over here. All right. And so today I want to get into these three services. And like I said, give you some insights on how to start thinking about breaking into the space and really how to position yourself for these opportunities. So, may not be here for long. We're going to hit it real quick, get straight to the point. And so, let's just go ahead and dive in. With that being said, and so with all of these services, here's something that you want to think about. Corporations, and these are just my industry insights that I'm seeing from having conversations with decision makers, from kind of being on a of the wall or fly on the wall to some of the conversations my clients are having as they are pitching and having discovery calls. And one of the main things that corporations need support with is how to better influence and get the most out of their workforce. And so a lot of really all three that I'll be sharing today are all related to strengthening the workforce. And when you honestly think about it, I've said this before, corporations only care about one of two things: saving more money or making more money. And their personnel is a direct correlation to whether they are going to hit their goals or, again, whether they are losing money. And so, anytime that you can position what you do as a value add to strengthening the workforce, they will eat that up. Okay. So the first one, which y'all know I love because this is what I do for corporations, it's on the topic of leadership and development. Those services are in high demand. Companies spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on external providers to come in and do leadership training. If you've ever gotten any one of my videos where I gave you a behind the scenes, I've literally shared opportunities with people where school systems are spending multi six figures on leadership and development, meaning corporations spending even more. And so that's a true area to tap into. And again, there are not enough experts in this space that are positioning themselves. And oftentimes, decision makers don't know where to go to find the right people. They're not, of course, they can use Google and all of those things. But when you think about the buying patterns and the buying behaviors, It's not necessarily oh, I'm going to go on Google and see who's a leadership and development, trainer, and look at their social media and hire them. It's not necessarily that process in terms of going to find someone. Now, obviously, if you're showing up on social media and people are following you and you put out content and they see it, that can be a way to bring people in. However, in terms of, outreach, like if they actually have an opportunity that they're searching for, they're not going to go on social media looking for you. Your best bet is to show up directly where they are and then be able to show up at the right time, which we never know when the exact right time is. However, we do know that there are peak times when clients are looking for certain services, and all is always a good time to start building the relationship. So that's super, super important. I had a few people this week asked me about timing and, how to break into the corporate space, when's the right time. And I said, really, any time is a good time to build a relationship because you never know when the opportunities may come. And again, they're not going to type into social media. So if they already know you, you've already pitched yourself and positioned yourself as a solution provider, you're going to be the first person that they call when an opportunity is ready to go. And that's how you get opportunities to move very quickly. And so in the leadership development space, that is a huge like conglomerate, right? Personal development, leadership development, so many different ways that you can look at that. And so some examples are like for me, I have a signature process around self-leadership that I talk about how to guide yourself into your career goals, but also how to demonstrate being a self-leader and influencing those on your team to also become self-leaders. Anyway, so that's one niche perspective in the overall umbrella of leadership. However, there are people who teach, public speaking skills. There are people who teach, emotional intelligence, all different types of niches within this umbrella. So especially if you're someone that's in the mindset space, or maybe you have some of those capabilities around emotional intelligence, how to, work together as a team, like all of those things to develop leaders to be more successful in managing their direct reports, but also in how they lead themselves to bring more business into the company. That is a direct correlation where companies, organizations, nonprofits, all the like are going to, perk up and they want to hear more because again, you're tapping on those things that they are hyper aware needs to happen in order for the business to be successful. And so leadership and development, if you have any capabilities around that, even you all as sometimes I think we often think, of our skills in silos. Oh, well, I'm an entrepreneur. I serve entrepreneurs. That is so limiting. Really expand yourself beyond just what you serve online and on the internet, right? Because honestly, the skill set is the skill set. It doesn't matter if you're serving entrepreneurs, if you're teaching them things like leadership, or you're teaching them, how to manage their business foundations or how to establish them. You think that those skills can't be translated into the corporate space as well? They absolutely can. You can do the same exact things that you're doing right now, maybe shift them around a little bit in terms of how you're positioning it. But the overall content, the skill set, the expertise can be given in many different perspectives. And so if you guys take anything from this, and this is just something that I have been seeing kind of floating around with people really kind of limiting themselves in terms of who they can serve. Entrepreneurs, niching down and all of that stuff is great, but there is such a vast market that you can go beyond. And again, I think I mentioned this last week. I don't talk to the people who don't get it. Like if you get it, you get it. However, I just feel, sometimes it comes up in me. Let's think bigger, y'all. And so even as you are, like I said, you have a successful business serving entrepreneurs, think about how you can take those same skill sets and apply them to the corporate audience. The business world is the business world. Let's leverage the skills. And so I say all that to say leadership and development, anything that you have in that realm that you provide to people, whether it's through a workshop, through your coaching programs, through a course, think about how that can also be positioned with the corporate audience. And not necessarily that you may have to go and deliver it yourself. So here's another thing that you can also think about doing in terms of what to offer. you can train the trainer, right? So you don't actually have to go in and teach your particular methodology or workshops. One of your positionings or one of your offers could be to train someone in the organization on your signature methodology on how to be a stellar leader in using your emotional intelligence, whatever that may be, right? And that person is the person who delivers the training inside of the organizations and again helps them be able to implement the systems that you shared. And so it can look so many different ways. It can really be a vast opportunity for you to serve and bring your expertise. And it does not have to be taxing. It does not have to take 6 months or 12 months or all these different things that people believe. It can really look like you just sitting from your home, putting something that you've already done together, presenting it once, and letting them run with it. Like it can be super, super simple as long as it's effective. And what I found with corporations and why I like working with them, they only care about the meat. They don't care about all these other fancy things and doing this and doing that. They will pay for you to solve the one problem, and that's it. And so keep that in mind as well. All right, so we talked a lot on that area. So leadership and development, super popular. If you have any services around that, you need to get positioning that, you need to get to pitching that, because not only for, just ongoing leadership development as these companies have conferences, retreats, sales meetings, these types of conversations are happening, and there are people who come in and teach these certain topics, and you should be one of them, especially if you are an expert or thought leader in your industry. All right. So that's number one. The second one, y'all know, if you've been on here for any amount of time, I give a lot of similar examples because I really talk from my true life experience and what I've seen people pay for, what I've hired people for in corporations, what I've been a part of on my journey. And so the second one is anything related to sales, training, and development. And how this is a little bit different. So leadership, that can go across many different types of functions in the business, but specifically focusing on the salespeople is also a very lucrative, again, always buying, always on their minds, a service that you can provide. And why this is important is because salespeople, again, we talked about what they care about, right? Money in, money out, making sure that's all good. So salespeople are the front line on, how that money gets brought into the business. So companies invest a lot in their sales talent and retaining their sales talent. So even from the perspective of doing like mindset work and things of that nature to help retain them, you can also start doing some trainings around your specific expertise that helps them bring more money into the business. What does that look like? So I actually spoke with someone about this, I believe yesterday or the other day. I've been talking to a lot of people. But one of the sales trainings I specifically remember going through was around creating or doing better virtual presentations. This was around the pandemic time and everybody had to switch from doing in-person meetings with our B2B clients to doing virtual. And so one of the things they invested in is having someone who was a newscaster in her private life or previous life and turned that into her own consulting business on how to be better on video. Oh my gosh, she couldn't have been more positioned at the better time to start doing this. And she leveraged her skills. Again, this is what I mean about looking at the expertise and not necessarily saying, oh, well, I'm a newscaster, so I'm going to teach better, newscasters how to, give the news on TV and their stage presence and all of that. She said, this could also be beneficial to the sales audience who is now doing virtual presentations. And so that's the mindset that you want to have with your skill set when you're thinking about high value opportunities that you can offer to corporate. Think about the skill set and then think about who is best, who would be the person who can get the most ROI out of this. And again, in that example that I gave you, with all of this in a Fortune 500 company, multiple hundreds of salespeople, right? Now going from doing in-person or phone meetings to doing virtual, this is a huge skill set that they wanted to get filled because this is the only way that they're going to get in the same hundred of thousands, multi-million dollars that they're expecting to get every quarter. And so if you position yourself as, hey, I'm solving this particular problem, this is exactly what you can expect to see in terms of ROI for your particular department or your sales force, again, we'll eat it up, like, and we'll pay the rate, because again, you're focused on who within the company is going to deliver the most ROI. And in this example, salespeople is definitely going to be a good target. So if you have any skill sets about presentation, about executive presence, I'm thinking about my client Arva. Y'all may have seen her on a past live, but she does executive presence coaching and consulting. That is perfect for people who, have sales opportunities or sales roles where they have to get up and present in front of executives. The mindset piece, again, salespeople are burnt out. It's a difficult job at times, and there is a lot of turnover. That's an issue for these companies, because as you're working with corporations, I don't want to get too deep and nerdy into it, but as a salesperson, you're working with corporations. Again, you're building relationships. This is B2B. This is not transactional. You come in my store, buy a phone, and then I don't see you again. You're building deep relationships with these people who are contributing multi-millions of dollars into your organization. And so having this turnover of, okay, I got one rep today, and then that person quit, and now I have another one coming in, they quit. It puts a bad taste on the client side. And again, it prevents them or puts a barrier in between how much they're going to want to spend with you. So again, I'm telling you this so you can put the mind of your buyer on the hat of your buyer and really think about, okay, what are the things that are kind of keeping them up at night? I'm telling you this from my experience being in the industry over several years. However, as you're doing market research, as you're pitching, as you're having conversations, you will start to learn what are these things that keep them up at night. And that's how you better position your services to make your fee a no-brainer. That's how you understand this is the audience that I need to be going after because they have the pain, they stand to get the greatest ROI, they have the problem that I solve. Let's go all in over here. And so those are kind of some of the ways that you want to think about it. So especially if you have some of those softer skills, something that is around mindset. I know my past client, Lauren, is on here. Something around mindfulness is definitely going to help them be able to, again, maintain those individuals that are in their company. And again, that helps to translate more sales for the company. Remember what I said in the beginning, what they care about. More money, saving money. How can you tie everything that you do or position to an organization to those specific outcomes? Okay. And so if you're just jumping on, I see a few people jumping on. So, hey, we already talked about leadership and development being one of the top services. The second one that I just got through breaking down all the way down to the root, giving you my expertise on both sides, is anything around serving the salespeople, our frontline people in these corporations that bring in the dollars. How can you retain them? How can you better equip them with the process or the skills to close more sales into these corporations? If you can position that, again, they'll eat it up all the time. This is a dire problem that I know for a fact companies are spending multiple 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures in order to solve, to make sure that, again, they'll pay that amount to have one person bringing in another $1 million of business in a year. So that's kind of how you have to think about it. And also, as you're pricing your services, think about that as well. The ROI for individuals, we might think of it as, okay, it's just this one person bringing in, $1 million or multiple 6 figures into their business. But when you go and do some of these same things inside of these organizations, that then becomes one person times, a sales force of 30 people doing the same things based on the skill sets that you taught them. And so for that, the price point has to be at a certain level, and corporations are going to expect that, right? They're going to expect a certain price point. And if it's not there, they're going to kind of be a little shifty. They're going to be thinking like, is this actually going to serve me? Is this, going to be helpful, or is this just a waste of money? They don't want to waste. They want you to come in, do the expertise that you said that you can do, deliver on it. And they want to be able to track and measure the results that you said you were going to deliver, period. Okay, and so diving into the last service, and this kind of blends in, and it could actually be provided in either one of the buckets that I shared earlier, but specifically speaking, services. So companies do events every year, especially large companies. We're thinking about sales kickoff meetings, leadership and development training. My husband is actually away right now at his leadership meeting, where it's a 3-day conference. They have speakers come in and talk about, all things leadership and development. That's why I said some of this can blend in. But think about it. They have these conferences and they need people to come and give their expertise. Again, always buying, whether it's something as big as a conference or there are smaller things happening within these organizations that could be virtual or also in person, where they need someone to come in and speak about particular topics, whether that is to inspire, whether that's to teach, whether that is to, workshop some things with people and walk them through a framework or process. This is an opportunity, again, for you to come in and sometimes not even have to leave your house, get up on Zoom, talk about your expertise, guide them, create a space, even is something that companies also purchase. The opportunity to do office hours or, to do an audit, right? So simple things that you can be doing to support corporations just by speaking your knowledge, speaking whatever it is that you are an expert at, whether that is on a main stage, like I said, or just something from your home. And so a lot of my clients have developed these courses or workshops that they are able to deliver. And again, it's super simple. There's no marketing and promotion that you have to do to get people to come to the event and all of that. You are literally just showing up and delivering the workshops that you have likely already done several times before in some capacity. And so this is like the lowest hanging fruit that I believe for most of us in my audience can start tapping in on, like today. You already have proven workshops, you have proven frameworks that you have delivered. So why not take that and say, who again can stand to get the highest ROI out of this particular workshop that I provide, and how can I go and serve them in that? And so I'll give you an example, a client example of this. So right now I'm working with a client. I put this in my story. So if you've seen this before, it's going to sound familiar, but she also works with entrepreneurs and she does business foundations. So helping them to figure out, exactly legally, financially, what are these things that they need to have in place to have a legitimate business? And so as I was thinking about this, I'm like, some of these things can actually be pulled into the corporate audience, maybe not necessarily the formation of a business, but really the overall thing that she's teaching people is how to be entrepreneurial, how to be a CEO, how to think about your business from an executive level. And I started thinking about ways that within companies, you are essentially an entrepreneur in some roles. You are entrepreneur is technically what the term is called. And again, out of that making money, saving money, they put individuals into these roles who can ultimately assume ownership of it, who makes the decisions, who looks at, the financial pieces and able to project how much is coming in and how much is going out. Like people actually manage budgets and manage a part of the business as their role. And that's super, super important. Companies want to retain them and companies want to arm them with the right skill sets so that they're making good decisions on behalf of the company. So I'm like, boom, we can take this, position it as that for these organizations and start going out and pitching that. So we thought about a slew of different industries that could benefit from this type of training. And again, this is utilizing what she has already done in the entrepreneur space and now taking that and just making some slight tweaks on the positioning and actually removing some of the elements that aren't relevant to the corporate audience and just delivering it what exactly they need in order to be more entrepreneurial or to run their part of the business like a CEO. So I hope that kind of helped you be able to see how I'm sharing this with you to position what you've already done with an audience who also needs it as well. It takes some strategy and some thinking and some getting outside of the box. That's why I suggest for people to have these conversations with decision makers in particular industries so that they can start to develop that expertise and way of thinking. So I hope this was good. I see all the hearts and all the likes and all the comments. So I hope that you guys got value from this. I'm going to do a quick recap and then, I'm going to end with my invitation. And so first, top service, anything around leadership and development, make sure that you run this back. This was really good. So run this back and get all the nuggets from that piece. The second one was anything related to either retaining or better equipping sales teams. Frontline people bringing money into the company, they get a lot of focus, they get a lot of investments from the company. Go and figure out how you can support that function of the business. And then the last one is your speaking. How can you turn the workshops that you're already doing to fit a corporate or collegiate or nonprofit audience that needs what you have to offer? Even if you think I developed this for entrepreneurs, start thinking, well, who else can stand to get a higher ROI from this expertise and from this topic? All right, so those are the three. Definitely run it back, take notes. This was like really good information that you guys could start implementing, and I would love to see how it goes for you. And so based on that, that is what I have today. You guys know how I do. I give people the information. I allow people to go ahead and exit stage left if you were just here for the content today. However, I always take the opportunity to give people an invitation to move forward with this, because like I shared with you in the beginning, companies don't have enough people doing the expertise, being priced right, being positioned right. And so I feel it's my duty to help more people get in position. And so if that is you, definitely stay on, because I would love to invite you for an opportunity to work with me. And so here's how it looks. Essentially, what I help to do is all of what I covered in this live so far. How do you really look at your packaging, your offer, your services, and make sure that it's aligned with what corporations are looking for? In addition to what we shared today, there are so many other opportunities that you could be positioned for as well. And how do you actually speak about it in a way that gets people raising their hands, ready to swipe their credit card and saying like, yes, we absolutely need this. That's the first piece. The second part that I help people do is how do you create a marketing system that creates leads on demand, whether it is from your in-person engagements, if you go to conferences or connect with your people in that way, or if you leverage LinkedIn to start generating those leads, to begin having those conversations and get those contracts booked. I help you develop a hybrid process that works for you, that you can implement. So if you got some time and you're like, hey, I want to go and do some engagements in the summer or whatever it looks like for you, you can run this system and start getting calls booked on your calendar within 2 weeks generally. And then the last piece is going to be the sales process. So how do you really navigate going from, dealing with individual clients and how you develop your sales system for them, to now, how do you sell this to corporate? How do you position this? How do you talk about it in a way that guides them through a journey, shows your expertise, and again, doesn't give them all the bells and whistles that they don't need, but really just getting down to the nitty gritty, and also becoming someone that can hear what they're saying, go down that path to make sure you're not leaving opportunities or dollars on the table. I do a lot of sales review calls for my clients, and I'm like, hey, this is an opportunity that I would follow up on that's even greater than what you initially thought to discuss on this call. And so having that type of support means that you don't feel slighted or again put yourself in a position where you're missing out on kind of the dog whistle, I'll say, that corporate decision makers often give out in these calls. And then also being able to navigate the proposal process and some of the nitty-gritty details of how to do business with corporate from a logistical standpoint. I help people build a system around that and also give them ease and clarity so that as they're having this conversation, you're not fumbling over your words, you're clear and confident in your process, and you're clear on what you're looking to gather out of each conversation before going and creating a proposal and moving it forward. And so that's my overall framework on what I help people with. And how I do that is through my one-on-one coaching program. So we have 3 to 6 month options where we coach individuals. And then we also have consulting packages where we come in and actually help you develop your corporate contract division, so to speak, and train your team members in order to do so. And so that could look like some ongoing retainer support. And we also have a VIP day where we go through that entire strategy with you, give it to you, let you run and execute with it, and have some support on the back end where you can get that. And so here's what I want to do today. I haven't shared this link in a while, and actually my calendar is super booked. So hopefully you can get some time in soon if you're seriously interested in getting some support. I'm going to drop my link to apply to work with me. And essentially that page will take you to where you can see, more of clients who've worked with me, their results and success stories, so that you can get an idea of putting yourself in this position of how you can start to attract more of these contracts into your business. And then from there, you can complete the short application, you book a time to speak with me, and then we'll figure out what may be the best service for you at your stage to get more contracts in your business, to develop the systems to do this on a repetitive basis, and ultimately help you execute these contracts with excellence, because that's another piece to this. If you do this well, then you will get repeat contracts and referrals and all of those things, but you'll also have a system to call in opportunities whenever you get ready to start picking that up. And so here is the link here in the chat. You can go ahead and click over there. I hope that went to everyone. It said post comments. I'll make sure that you have it everywhere. If not, okay. I see y'all on Facebook, but it said it just posted it in YouTube. I'll make sure that you guys have the link to go ahead and book that. But I will be so excited to chat with you more on this and really figure out, again, how we can get more of the brilliance of people in my audience into the corporate space. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. Otherwise, I look forward to chatting with you and seeing how we can support you further. All right. So next week, same time, same place. We are here 4 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday, talking different topics on corporate contracting, mindset to get in the space, and strategies and insights that I'm seeing as an active member in the industry. All right, I will talk to you all soon and see you online.